This is an old Cossack tale of the vampire and Saint Mikhail. In a certain village, it matters not where, there lived two neighbors, one very rich, the other so poor his humble chata, his hut, was tumbling about his ears. He and his wife had little to eat and he could get no work. At last he decided to go to his rich neighbor to ask a silver coin of him. Alas, would to God that I had no need to say it. It has come to pass with us that there's not a single crust of bread in our chata, nor a rezana of money. So I have come to thee, dear little master. Lend us but a silver srebrenik, and we will be ever thankful to thee, and I'll work myself old to pay it back. But who will stand surety for thee? Asked the rich man. I know not if any man will, I am so poor, yet perchance God and Saint Mikhail will be my sureties. And he pointed at the icon in the corner. Then the icon of Saint Mikhail spoke to the rich man and said, Come now, lend it to him. Put it down on my account. God will repay thee. Well, said the rich man, I'll lend it to thee. So he lent it, and the poor man thanked him and returned to his home full of joy. But the rich man was impatient. He was not content that God should give him back his loan by blessing him in his flocks and his herds, and in his children and his health, and in the blessed fruits of the earth. He waited and waited for the poor man to come and pay him back his silver srebrenik. And at last he went to seek him. Sobaka, dog, he shouted before the house. Have you forgotten to repay me? Then the wife of the poor man burst into tears. He would repay thee indeed, save that he died but a few days ago. The rich man snarled at the widow and departed. But when he got home, he said to the icon of Saint Mikhail, A pretty surety thou art. Then he took Saint Mikhail down from the corner, dug out his eyes, and began beating him. He beat Saint Mikhail again and again, and at last he flung him into a puddle and trampled on him. I'll give it thee for standing me sureties so scurvily, said he. While he was thus abusing Saint Mikhail, a young fellow about 20 years old came along the way and said to him, What are you doing, father? I am beating Saint Mikhail because he stood surety and has played me false. He took upon himself the repayment of a silver srebrenik and that I lent to a son of a pig who has since gone away and died. That's why I'm beating him now. Beat him not, my father. I'll give thee a silver srebrenik, but do thou give me this holy image. Take him if you will, but see that thou bring me that silver srebrenik first. The young man ran home to his own father, begged a silver coin they could ill afford, then ran back quickly as he could, paid the silver to the rich man, and got the holy image. He washed it clean and placed it in the midst of sweet-smelling flowers, and so they lived as before. Now this youth had three uncles who happened to be rich merchants who sold all manner of merchandise and went in ships to foreign lands where they sold their goods and made their gains. One day when these three rich uncles were again making ready to take ship for foreign lands, the youth said to them, Take me with you, uncles. Why should you go? We have wares to sell. What have you? Yet take me. But thou hast nothing. I will make laths and boards and take them with me. The uncles laughed at him for imagining such wares as these, but he begged and he prayed that they take him until they at last wearied of the begging. Well, come, but though there is naught for thee to do, only take not much of these wares. Her ships were already full. Then he made them laths and boards and put them aboard ship and took the icon of Saint Mikhail with him, and they departed. They went on and on. They sailed a short distance and they sailed a long distance till at last they came to another tsardom and another empire. And the Tsar of this tsardom had but a single daughter, so lovely that the like of her is neither to be imagined nor divined in God's fair world, neither may it be told in tales of her beauty. But this Tsarevna one day went down to the river to bathe and plunged into the water without crossing herself, and the evil spirit took possession of her. The Tsarevna got out of the water and began to waste away. She fell terribly ill. No one knew what caused it. The wise women did their utmost, yet she passed on and was placed in a coffin in a church. And the Tsar made a proclamation to the people that they should go and read prayers over the dead, or for the dead, over her body, and so exorcise the evil spirit, and whosoever delivered her was to have half his power and half his kingdom. The people stepped forth, but none of them were able to read the prayers, for each and every morning there were the bones of the person who went to read prayers the night before. Night after night, the Tsar sent people in until all his people were afraid to go. And the Tsar realized his own people wouldn't do it, so he would keep merchants that arrived in his tsardom, and they would be forced to go read the prayers. If not, they would never leave. So the foreign merchants went in one by one. In the evening, a merchant was shut up in the church, and in the early morning they came and found and swept away his bones. At last it came to the turn of the young man's uncles to read the prayers for the dead in the church. They wept and lamented and cried, we're lost, heaven help us." Each of the uncles in turn, from eldest to youngest, implored the nephew to read prayers over the Tsarevna, promising ships and wealth, but the youth feared to go. But the icon of Saint Mikhail said on the first night, "Go and fear not, stand in the middle of the church, fenced around about with thy laths and boards, and take with thee a basket full of pears. When she rushes at thee, take and scatter the pears, and it will keep her busy until cockcrow to pick them all up. But do thou go on reading thy prayers all the time, and look not up, whatever she may do." Come evening, the young man did so, entrenching himself behind the barricade of boards, and began to read. The Tsarevna arose from her coffin and came straight towards him, hissing like snakes, but was unable to reach him. He scattered the basket of pears, which rolled all through the church, and she after them, and she tried to pick them up till cockcrow. Then the day dawned, and she went back into her coffin. The people came to clean out the church and sweep away his bones, but there he was, reading his prayers. And the rumor of it went through the town, and they were all filled with joy. There was hope at last. The next night, it was the second uncle who pleaded with his nephew, and this time Saint Mikhail said to bring the boards yet again, and to bring a basket of nuts to scatter. And the boy was alive after the second night, although the Tsarevna seethed and hissed at him. In the morning, the people came to sweep away his bones, but he was alive. And now it was the third night, and the youngest uncle pleaded with his nephew, and Saint Mikhail said, "Weep not, 'twill all end happily. Fence thyself about with thy boards, sprinkle thyself all about with holy water, Incense thyself, and take me with thee. She shall not have thee. And the moment she leaves her coffin, jump quickly into it, and whatever she may say to thee, and however she may implore thee, let her not get into it again until she says to thee, my consort. So he went. There he stood in the middle of the church, fenced in about with his boards. He'd strewn consecrated poppy seeds all about him, incensed himself with holy incense, and read. About the middle of the night, there was a rustling and a roaring, a hissing, a wailing. The church shook. The altar candelabra was thrown down. Holy images fell on their faces. How awful. Then came a bang bang from the coffin, and the Tsarevna started up. She left her coffin and fluttered about the church. She rushed at the boards and made a snatch at him and fell back. She rushed at him again and again and fell back. She foamed at the mouth, and her fury every instant grew worse and worse. She dashed herself about and darted madly from one corner of the church to the other, seeking him everywhere. But he skipped into the coffin with the image of Saint Mikhail by his side. Then she ran further on, felt all about her, and cried again, he was here, and now he's not here. At last she sprang up to the coffin, and there she was. She began to beg and pray, come down, come down. I'll try and catch thee no more. Only just come down, come down. But he only prayed on to God and answered her never a word. Then the cock crowed. She wept tears of frustration and burst out, alas, come down, my consort. Then he came down. They both fell upon their knees and began praying to God together, and wept sore and gave thanks to God because he had had mercy on them both. And at dawn of day, crowds of people with the Tsar at the head of them came to the church. Shall we find him reading prayers, or shall we only find his bones? They wondered. And lo, there they were, both on their knees, praying fervently to God. Then the Tsar greatly rejoiced, and so did the people. He embraced both the young man and his daughter. After that, they had a grand service in church, and she was sprinkled with holy water and baptized again, and the unclean spirit departed her forever. The Tsar then offered the young man half his power and half his kingdom, but the merchants were eager to leave and departed in their ships with the nephew on board. In time, the Tsar noticed his daughter's sadness and determined the cause of it. And he sent men to that certain village, it matters not where, to find the young man. And he was brought back and wed the Tsarevna, and they were happy for the rest of their lives. It was at the feast I heard this tale. There it was, I drank mead ale. Though it flowed down my beard, my mouth stayed dry, for never a drop passed my lips, swear I.